Young man, you too can become a hero.
Dreams can become reality. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that this is the story of how I became the world's greatest hero.
I'm still waiting for you to click that like button, and to subscribe, and the post notification button.
The day that I've been dreading the most has finally happened. My Hero Academia is finally over. And for these past few months, I've been racking my brain trying to figure out what am I gonna say and what am I gonna do to celebrate this anime that's done so much not only for me, but everyone else. And I think that right now in this moment, the only thing that I can say and do is just be myself and just say thank you to this anime. This was an anime that lured us in, believing that it was going to be an anime about this kid who wanted to be a hero. But after some years and seasons, we learned that this was an anime that was so much more than that. And it was only realized by those who took the time with it. Because in my opinion, My Hero Academia is so symbolic. Because it feels like not so long ago, we were watching this story where this kid wanted to become a hero, but he couldn't because he didn't have a quirk. But all it took one day was for him to come across his hero, and for this hero to finally tell him something that he's been waiting for his entire life. He told him that he could be something, but specifically what he wanted to be, despite everything. And that moment there would be one of the most powerful things that this anime would carry on until the end. Because there's something about this anime that has so much of a life in it in terms of how it talks about life through the medium of just a hero story, that it's actually pretty insane. Because what Deku went through is something that all of us are going to have to deal with. And that's the fact that there are going to be moments in our lives where it feels like we can't do something, we can't achieve something. It gets so bad that you can't even look people in the eye, and you find yourself in a similar position of Deku, just trying to get by, still wishfully thinking that maybe you could do something, but the reality of the world has told you multiple times that you can't do something. But what you need in that moment is just someone simply saying that they believe you can do what you want to do, and you can become what you think you can be, and everything that's been drilled into your head doesn't matter unless you decide it does. And as such, the journey begins. The thing about My Hero Academia is that throughout the story, we learn that so many characters go through so many different things, but the most powerful thing that they will go through is doubt. And that brings us to a phrase that All Might says all the time, plus ultra, go beyond. At the beginning of the anime, that phrase barely had any meaning. It just kind of seemed like a phrase of a guy who's really powerful, just telling you go beyond your limits, that's it. But as the seasons pass, you start to realize the deeper meaning of that. Because in actuality, what All Might was teaching us was that for you to break those obstacles that you have either in your head or in your life, you need to be prepared to make sacrifices. And the epitome of that moment is when All Might is fighting Nomu. All Might understands that there's an obstacle in front of him that is perfected to stop him. And you can see a lot of life in that. It seems as though he can't defeat it. It's made to stop him. But what happens is All Might goes beyond himself, beyond what he believes and thinks of himself. And he's able to defeat Nomu, literally smashing him. That sounds crazy, but you know what I mean. But he defeats him. But in that moment where everyone saw him defeat this character and he looked so cool, he was actually teaching the children a very fundamental lesson about life, but also the obstacles that they were going to face. You can overcome a lot of things. But what you notice within the fight is that All Might was prepared to get hurt. In fact, he's bleeding multiple times. But he understands that he needs to make a sacrifice and break himself to go beyond. And that is what this anime teaches you a lot of times, because for a lot of people, once you break that obstacle, you think that it's over. You think that there won't be another obstacle. You finally made it and everything will be better. But what you don't realize is that the higher and the more powerful that you want to become, the more you have to consistently break that barrier. But that barrier isn't always as simple as what you think it is. It's actually yourself. You need to consistently keep breaking yourself to keep growing and becoming who you believe you are. Especially with Deku, it started simple. He broke all of his bones when he tried to use his ability, but he achieved something, and we kind of just laughed it off. But as the seasons passed, Deku got more and more and more scarred, and those scars became more permanent and their effects were more lasting. And by the end of the anime, all of the people who decided to go beyond themselves, Bakugo, Endeavor, All Might, they're not the same. This is a lesson that this anime tries to teach you, that in your journey to go beyond yourself, to go after what you want, you must understand that you will break yourself, but also there will be sacrifices, and you will not come out of that situation as well as what you think you will. And as such, it really draws the attention of how important it is and how much do you really want that. With Deku, he showed us that he had been waiting for this opportunity his entire life, that moment didn't bother him. But for a lot of people in life, that is the difference between succeeding and not. How far are you willing to push yourself? How far are you willing to sacrifice to go beyond? That is something that becomes so inherently deep within this anime, but it really hits you a lot near the end. At this point, all of these characters who have made it to the end have cultivated their will, cultivated their beliefs, and ultimately that was the determining factor in a lot of the fights. How much do you believe in yourself? How much have you worked on yourself? That will be the difference between success and failure. This is the most craziest thing for this anime to teach you, but there are so many lessons about life and obstacles that you will face, setbacks, issues, problems. These are the things that can help you surpass them, plus ultra. And for me watching this anime, I took so many of those lessons later in life. It was this anime that was the biggest inspiration that I had to believe in myself, work harder, push, do everything. If you truly believe, then you need to do what's needed to become that. And Deku teaches this every single season, that it's a process. There are setbacks, there are moments where everything works seamlessly, but ultimately it's about the hard work and the belief that you put towards going after your dream. And that was the most beautiful thing about this anime that always used to get me teary-eyed, because you realize that each of these characters have their own dreams and ambitions, and they've worked so hard throughout the seasons to find that moment, that when they finally get that moment, they're prepared and they're willing to risk it all because they know that they believe in themselves, but also they've worked for this. And this is something that the anime has taught us. It's not always about the flashy person, the big person. It's about so many different aspects, and that's why within the story there are so many quote-unquote heroes, the medical practitioners, the police, the people who help, kind-hearted people. It teaches you that this idea of being a hero is bigger than just being a hero. Anyone can be a hero, but it's about if you're willing to be one. And this can apply in so many aspects of a person's life, because the term hero is vague, but it roughly almost translates to your dreams or who you want to be. There's something about this anime that is so much deeper than what it presents, but it knows what it's doing. When you realize it by the end of the anime, and when you've experienced things, you realize that this was an anime that was meant to spend time with you. And some moments didn't make sense, but some moments would be waiting for you when you needed them. They would help you. Now, I'm not saying that this anime addresses every issue you'll deal with in life. No. But in terms of that aspect, it's always been waiting for you. And to see this anime come to an end is a sad thing, because when you think about it, I spoke about how a person believing in you can make such a huge difference, and this anime showed us that. If you think about it, this anime believes in you. So to speak, it's given you the ability, it's given you the quirk, it's given you something, but it also understands the next part of your journey is all dependent on you. You have to go on this journey by yourself. And the thing about this anime that will probably never be properly appreciated is just how loving and caring this anime is towards its fan base, its characters, and just the story that it wanted to tell. It taught you throughout this journey that it's okay to have your scars, embrace them. It teaches you to not be ashamed of trying. It teaches you to be proud of yourself. It teaches you to believe in yourself. And to me, geez, I don't want to get emotional, but in that is something that is extremely powerful. And the sad thing about this anime is that a lot of people might not actually realize all of the lessons that this anime was actually trying to teach and show us, because maybe it wasn't as impressive, or the animation and the fights didn't look as cool. And that's the thing about this that I feel like is the most unfortunate thing about this story, is the fact that some people might never get that message. And I think that the thing that I really want to say at the end of this video, and being appreciative towards this anime, is that I'm thankful because a great anime has decided to leave the rest of our lives up to us now.